hope you all are doing well. I am so sorry I'm getting the May tarot card posted late. It has just been crazy. I don't know. It's just time has went by. I don't know if it's all this fire and air energy we've been having, but anyway, I'm here now. So this is the May tarot card of the month. And this one's not, of course, this was April. So, you know, I like doing these because it kind of, it helps us peel back the layers a little bit more so we can get more in touch with ourselves. The tarot card, you know, the major arcana is the fool, the hero's journey, so to speak, working through different phases of the life and experiences that we have. And, you know, it's one thing that I find very useful in life. So anyway, we'll go back and I'm going to recap here because this was April's tarot card, the Hangman. Now, let's look at him a little bit. Okay, I'll promise to keep it down and not move so much. You see the Hangman, he's tied up by his one leg. And he looks like it's a cross, okay? But if you'll see on his face, he's not in distress. He is welcoming, yes, right? He's not in any kind of angst, in any kind of, there's nothing wrong with him. He's got a relaxed look on his face. So, yeah. So through the Hangman, we are encouraged to see the world differently. You know, we're to step outside of that normal thought process and to see things through a different perspective. You know, step outside the box and see things from, you know, that bigger perspective. And one thing that we have to realize is that our perception is our unique way that we see the world. So, since our perception is our unique way, arguing with others to try to make them have your perception is pointless. That is a egocentric trip that you're falling into, or a trap, I should say. It's a trap that you fall into. So we want, and you know, honestly, we want to see things the way that we want to see them, but that's not the reality of this reality. And one thing that we have to do is understand that other people have their perceptions too. So we have to step back and learn that we need to look at things through a different perspective. We need to see another's perspective before we can make any ground. When we are all here together, you know, we are all entitled to our different thoughts, our different beliefs, and they can be totally different from another. That is fine. But what we have to do is not get so tunnel vision into our perception. See, this is the problem and that we're seeing in our world is that people have a certain view the way that they see the world, and they think that everybody else should have that view too. No. It works by understanding that if you know, we have to understand that if you want tolerance, then you must give tolerance. That is the same thing. If you want somebody to tolerate you, then you must tolerate them. And, you know, if we want us to all get along, we have to really be careful of, you know, these kind of things that we do. We can't put conditions on it, right? You can't say, well, you have to be this religion. You have to believe like that. Whether we think that it's right or wrong, everyone has their right to believe, think, have different ideals, etc. of their own. We are not the ones that are the judge and jury for them. So this is very good right here. You know, this is often compared to Odin hanging himself from the Yggdrasil tree. And I think I pronounced that right, but I'm not Norse, so. But anyway, Odin injured himself and hung himself from that tree. even, and the other gods offered to help him, and he was like, no. He understood that there is a sacrifice in order to gain certain knowledge. It's, the higher the sacrifice, the bigger the gain, so to speak. It was by him staying there for 9 days, hanging from the tree, that he received the runes. So it's very comparative. This it's enlightenment. You see, he is gaining enlightenment. So in order for him to gain that enlightenment, he must see things different from his tunneled vision view. It's okay to have different thoughts and beliefs than others. That's fine. And difference of opinion is what makes our world colorful and helps us grow both physically and spiritually, mentally, But with this different perspective brings about change, right? And with change comes great stress and anxiety. So the energy of May's tarot card is one of revelation. So the month of May will reveal to us if we have learned from our past mistakes and made them opportunities and for us to grow and to do better, or do we still have a lot of work to do? So we come to transformation. And now we get to the key of deliverance himself, death. Make sure that's straight. There we go. Now, this is one of, I hate to say feared, but it's kind of like one of the dreaded cards. People really, they get kind of uneasy when this card comes up. But when you simply just look at the card, I can see, because it says death, they're like, oh, death. Well, death is not necessarily a really, literal thing. But before we get into that, let's talk about this card. The death card's esoteric name is the Child of the Great Transformers, or Lord of the Gate of Death. The card number is 13. The rulership is Scorpio, and the position on the wheel of the year is Samhain, and this represents the waning moon energy. The elements of this card is earth and water, and you can see there's a little bit of earth here, but look at all of that water. Water is amazing. Water, I know Dr. Emoto did a lot of work on the energy of water. There's another woman that's working on that right now. I can't remember her name, but she's doing a lot of work with water, and they have found that water can hold energy. And one thing I was reading about, they were talking about how old the water was. They said the water on our planet is older than our sun. I can't remember all, but go check that out. But water is so important because it's very conductive. And water it has those two sides. It can be a nice flow, a nice cleansing flow, or it can be a rush of water that can sweep away a whole city, a whole village, a whole town, and so forth. So, but we see how this water is coming in, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Death itself, it represents change, and that is the only constant in our world. Change can be exciting, it can be exhilarating, but it can bring a lot of stress and anxiety on us because we are going into uncharted territory. The death card concerns all matters of transformation and, like I said, is known as the key of deliverance. So how can it be deliverance? Okay, we'll answer that in just a second. This is balance and verification resulting in self-mastery. So the death card symbolizes transformation and change, but not a literal death. It signifies the end of one phase or a situation and the beginning of another, or the paving way for a new beginning and growth. The card depicts a skeleton in armor, typically holding a flag adorned with a white rose. This symbolizes rejuvenation. This card urges us to accept the inevitable transitions, as well as to shed the old habits or beliefs that we may have had. Embracing change can lead us to personal renewal, evolution. When you get the death card in a reading, it encourages the letting go of the past to embrace the transformation. And it's, you know, it's saying an ending of one thing and a beginning of another. Is a fresh perspective. So the death card embodies the cyclical nature of life, and it is a profound opportunity for inner transformation. So this card, I will say, is many times referred to as the Great Initiation. And initiation just basically means twice born within this lifetime. So the transformation here is about the willingness to let go of the old personality in order for us to gain knowledge of our eternal self, as well as to begin a new life from that awareness. So here, he gained a new perspective. He gained enlightenment. So now, he must leave behind that old to begin the new. And our body is one about renewal. I mean, if we think of our cells, okay, like our cells in our body, they die daily and new ones are made. And this is simply saying that life goes on. Life goes on. So you can either grow with it or stay stuck. So I'm going to take away the Hangman, and I'm going to look, put this card over here. I'm going to look at the death card. I'm going to blow it up a little bit. I promise I won't pick it up too much and make it look weird. So we see a skeleton, and he is riding a white horse. He's coming from the west. Okay, this is the north, the south, the east, the west. Okay, so he's coming from the west, and he is carrying a banner that's black and white. We can see the king laying here dead. I'm going to bring this up some so you can see this, okay? You can see the king laying right here on the ground. He's dead. You see the queen mourning. She's just, devastated. You see the Hierophant. He's got his hands up. He's praying. And the child, though, is holding white flowers, looking straight up at death. And death is looking at this child. He is greeting him. Yeah. Welcoming death. And this is a full illustration showing that when death appears, no one is immune to the changes that he makes. Now, the male figure stands for the conscious mind. The female is the unconscious mind. And of course, the child is from their creation. The masculine, the energy coming together to create. Yeah? The Hierophant is representative of the high priest. And he represents the high priest of the mysteries. They were, like the mystery schools, things like that. They were the ones who conducted the initiations, the sacred rite. The skeleton now represents your true self beyond personality and body. It is the core structure the body is built upon. Flesh decays, but bones remain. So the skeleton represents the eternal self that will always remain. And this card is like our inner self is saying that it is time for change. The skeleton rider is wearing black, the black armor there, and that represents Saturn, Father Time, or Kronos. Saturn is about limitations and boundaries, traditions, but he is the one that can help us let go of those things that no longer serve us. And he is carrying a flag that is a 5-petaled white rose on it, which stands for, like I said, rejuvenation, rebirth. And 5 is it's the spirit of life that's within the 4 elements. There's more to that, but that is the basis of that. So the white rose is also fully bloomed. So this is saying that if you work with plants or understanding when a flower has bloomed, it has reached its highest potential. So from there, it's cyclic, right? It dies and then there's another one that comes. So in the left hand, him holding this flag in the left hand, it represents purification of our desires. And it can be looked at as an illumination of our nature, of who we are. On the card, we see the sun rising right here in the east. Again, new beginning. The water is coming from this river of consciousness is coming from that. And remember, the high priestess robe, remember I said how her gown represents that river of consciousness, and all of that flows in all the cards. So every time you see the river in the tarot deck, you can think of that high priestess, because this is that flow of consciousness. So, which, that's life. The flow of consciousness is life. Now, I want you to look very carefully right there. You see that? See that ship that's sailing? Now, he is sailing towards the east. He's sailing toward the sun. So, him sailing toward the sun, it refers to as he is returning to the source of life. So this card is about the ascension path. And to go a little bit deeper with this card is ruled by the zodiac sign of Scorpio, which is a fixed water sign. It is about our intense feelings as well as a very deeply spiritual sign, because it goes down deep. It gets down to it goes down deeper than the surface. So it is associated with the 8th house, which is the house of death. So this card represents introspection, looking within you to heal or to transform or to rejuvenate. And, this transformation, there are 3 levels of transformation, and they are 3 symbols that are used for these 3 different levels. The 3 symbols are the scorpion, which represents parts of ourself that lash out during times of change or when we are threatened. And an interesting fact here that I didn't realize till, a while ago is that scorpions, when they are cornered, when they lash out like that, many times they end up stinging themselves more than they are stinging whatever's attacking them. So that is something that, to really consider, those knee-jerk reactions, making all your decisions off of fear and fear-based things. You're not making the correct decisions. You're making decisions that would ultimately hurt you. And, we've seen that happen. So the next one is we have the snake. And the snake transformation is about shedding of our skin in order for rebirth into a new identity. And then lastly, we have the eagle or phoenix, and which is basically the overall perspective. This is our higher vision to become who we are. In actuality, this is a very optimistic card. It's not one that you should dread at all. This is, it's very it's optimistic, but, yeah, it's about perpetual change, but that's the root of everything. Change and transformation, that's our constant in this world. And there are many kinds of death. So fighting these changes is what makes things difficult. The number 13 is on this card, and it is a very powerful number, especially in the cycle of transformation. The number 12 is about completion, while the number 13 is a step in a new direction. So number 12, a completion. You've reached a point, and now it's time to learn more. And that is also about this fully bloomed 5-petaled rose. So this is taking a step, coming from the west, right? We're taking a step into a new direction. So look at the feet. The foot is up. So there are 13 lunar months in a year. The number 13 is the number 1. Let me get the other cards here. The number 1, which is, I may have to blow this up a little bit. The number 1, which is the Magician. And the number 3, which is the Empress. Let's see here. I'm trying to get this in. Get him out of the way. So we have the Magician, who is being the conduit of the earth and the spirit, bringing that down to 1, as above, so below. If you want it, you have to work in it. You have in front of you what you need. The red roses of desire, the red robe of action, the white robe of purity, and then you have the Empress. And this right here is where, see the pomegranates on her? This is about the Venus shield, protecting what you love, her crown of stars. Look at all this, and here you go. There's the river. There's the river of consciousness flowing through there. Now, 1 plus 3 equals 4, the Emperor. And there you go. The Emperor tells us that power is within ourselves. No one, no title, no external things can make you powerful other than yourself. Your power does not lie in the throne. It doesn't lie in your crown. It doesn't lie in your sword. It lies within. He's wearing his armor, meaning he is ready to act. The red, he's ready to act. He's holding the world and the scepter and this. He's balanced in energy. His power is within him. He has worked hard to get that. And he knows that his throne is stone. So this energy is what makes up our death card. That is the energy that lies within this. And you can see from, self-sacrifice to death of any kind. This card represents the end of one thing, but also an opening up to something new. As we mourn for our past, or even a loved one after they pass, we mourn for ourselves. This is a transition from one place of being to the next. And, when we lose a loved one, which is extremely hard, we mourn, but, we're mourning for ourselves. We're not mourning for them. They have transitioned to a better place. We are mourning from our loss, from what, we are going to miss, that sort of thing. And in life in general, we have to learn to greet death just as the child on the card and welcome him. So the mythological associations with the death card is the god Ares or Mars, Apep, the serpent god, Kepra, the god of light and darkness, also all that relate to creative force and regeneration, purification. So that's what the white horse is. The white horse is about this purification. You know, cutting loose from what is old, what you had to leave behind in order to grow, in order to have, you know, do better. That is the biggest, that is what May is about. And, you know, we're having some major energy going on. When I'm recording this, we are having Jupiter having a cazimi with the sun. We are having, that's, you know, the great god Jupiter dying, having his combustion within the sun, being born again. Venus met up with Uranus, which is going to change the way we're looking at things, giving us a different perspective of what we cherish, what we value, seeing deeper. Uranus is, its planet is Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is all about the future, but here, with, you know, and Pluto right now is in Aquarius, by the way, and that is about reaching that, the golden standard of humanness, right? And that's being imposed upon Venus. Venus had a square with, let's see, I'm sorry, Mercury had a square with Pluto. And that is some, you know, with Mercury and Taurus, that is some energy about Pluto and Aquarius is imprinting that golden standard about, you know, what exactly is it? We need to stop looking at our surface. You know, anything can look good on the outside, but how about the inside? What's going on with the inside? And here, this is our inner self that's telling us that things need to change, that, you know, something, we need to leave something behind. Maybe it's a habit. Maybe it's an addiction. It's about leaving something behind that actually holds us back. It doesn't really help us, so that we can move on. See, his eyes are right at this child, the newness. We can move on to something better, one that is actually going to be good for us, be better for us, help us grow. I think for a lot of people is coming out of conditionings that they were raised in, how you had to be a certain way, you had to be this, you had to be that, and of saying, no, I don't have to be anything except myself. And if I want to wear the clothes like that, and if I want to have my hair like that, and if I want to wear makeup, or if I want to dress like that, then I should be able to. And, you know, a lot of people are just really trying to find that harmony, you know, harmonize that energy. So, yeah. This is definitely going to be a month of transformation. It's going to be one of looking below the surface and discovering what is really important to us and defending that and growing from that. This is going into our sovereignty. Our sovereignty of ourselves, realizing that, yeah, we're all connected, but we're all sovereign. We have to learn that we need to take care of us. Nobody else can take care of us like us. If we are in tuned, you know, with Venus in Taurus, that's about attuning ourselves to our body, listening to our body. Yeah. Maybe it's time to change your diet. Maybe it's time to get physical and move your body more and take care of your body more. Anyway, that is it. There's a lot that this could go into, but I'm going to close from there. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe, and please leave a comment. I like reading comments, but be nice. You know, there's no reason to be hateful and to be trollful, but If tarot is not your thing, then just go on. That's the advice of the Hangman. If it's not your thing, maybe you need to look at it differently. And if it's still not your thing, maybe you just need to move on. Blessings, everyone.